Tim, we're excited to be here today because we have some great news from REUP, a brand new resource, a curriculum. I mean, really, this is a game changer for REUP.
Yeah, no doubt. I've said for here recently, the last few months, and we've been doing this for almost 15 years, and I feel like everything we've done has led to this point. So we're excited today to launch what we call the Man Journey, discovering the three truths of a biblical man. It's a model, it's a system, it's a pathway planned out for churches, for men to go on a discovery dealing with what we think we're finding to be one of the biggest problems out there today.
Yeah.
Which is guys are struggling answering the question, what is a biblical man?
Yeah. So if that's going to be answered in this curriculum, then I think you need to answer it right now. What is a biblical man?
Well, it's funny how this came about because I was on a phone call a few months back with some pastors, and one of the pastors on there, he was a men's pastor actually at a very large church, has a lot of men in their discipleship structure, and he told me they were struggling answering a question, and I asked him what it was, and he said, what's a biblical man? I thought, wow, that's a core question.
That's right, it's a great question.
But I've come to realize since then, most guys I ask, they hesitate.
Yeah.
They don't answer with a lot of authority, and then they're given all kinds of different answers. So he kind of told me what he thought a biblical man was, which was loves his wife as Christ loved the church, raises kids up in the ways of the Lord, meditates on the Word, does all these things. But what I told him was that the problem there was we're telling these guys that they got to do a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a performance.
It's
a sense of duty, a standard. And I'm learning guys are tired. They're out here, the enemy's got them so focused on doing things that really aren't that important, but we're spending a lot of time doing it. And so they're tired. But then when they want to be a biblical man, but you tell them they got to do all this stuff, they don't lean in. But if you tell them they can rest, possibly, and that happened, then we think that becomes a game changer. Plus, we think part of the problem with the answer is, as well, is we're not giving men freedom to fail with the answer that we're given. So we've come to learn that our answer actually has become the problem. So these three truths that the Lord's really shown us that we want men to discover is the first one is, which we've been about identity since we started.
That's right.
And that's the first truth, that a biblical man truly understands he's a child of God, his identity. And that what he does is not who he is, but who he is, his identity, has a huge impact on what he does if he really knows who he is. So we've got to get that first. But then that leads to the second truth, which we're seeing men really lean in right now when we share this with them. And most of them have never heard this. And that is, a biblical man understands how to live by the life of another that's in them, Jesus. Christ in us, the hope of glory. And John 10:10, I came that they might have life and have it to the full. We believe Jesus meant there the kind of life he lived. And Jesus didn't live his own life. You've seen me, you've seen the Father. My works are not mine, they're the Father's. My works. So that's what he wants for us. He wants us to rest in him and let him love my wife as Christ loved the church through me and with me. He wants me to rest, and him through me and with me will raise my kids up in the ways of the Lord. And we're finding men like that. That they could rest. So they're leaning in.
Absolutely.
Plus, it's giving them freedom to fail. And they're still a biblical man.
So that's two truths.
Then the third one is, after those first two, it just becomes automatic. You're able to view life and the chaos and everything going on from God's perspective. And look at things and go, that's right, that's wrong, that's true, that's not true. All these possessions and all, they're not mine. And you just view it from a totally different perspective, which allows you to look different than the world. And somebody might want what you got. So we really think these three truths can set guys free. They can be free to fail, but still be the man God created them to be, and start making disciples. And investing in other men.
So that's the man part of the man journey. The other word is journey. So it sounds to me like this must be a process.
It is. It's a 3-year plan, but it's a journey. And one of the things we're trying to help men and pastors and leadership at church and they understand is that if we're going to really build men into what God wants them to be, disciple makers, it's a journey. A 6-week program or 11 is not going to fix it.
Right.
Jesus had these guys that he hung out with for 3.5 years, 24/7, and they still struggled getting it. So we get these guys maybe an hour 2 hours at the most a week. So it's a journey. It's going to take a while.
Yeah.
And so we want everybody to understand that. But man, as the guy told me on that call when I shared these 3 truths with him, and he kind of just screamed in the phone and said, "Tim, that's gold." Man, the journey's worth it.
Yeah.
Because when the Lord really teaches you these 3 truths, it allows you to just see things go in a totally different direction in your marriage, your role as a parent, friend, co-worker, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then we think we're going to start getting somewhere. And this, I had a guy tell me not long ago that we've been playing defense for way too long.
Yeah.
And it's time to start playing offense and get the enemy trying to play defense and retreating. And we really think this is going to allow that to happen.
Yeah, that's great. How do folks find this resource?
Man, today, launch, you go to reupmen.com. There's a Man Journey page there. There's some cool videos that you can watch, previewing some things. Actually, it's live today. You can preview some of the content. But if you're a single guy just looking to connect and want to go on this journey, if you've got a group of guys already started and you want to start using this, or if you want to use it at your church as a discipleship model, it's all laid out there. And you can reach out to us as well, and we'll get you going. And we are so excited because we really think we're onto something that could really start giving the next generations especially a lot of hope, and actually an answer to that question, which is, it says you can't become what you can't define. And we need to know what a biblical man is.